Yay, we're live. Okay, so,
Hey,
give me just a second. Let me invite people into this. And
like
this
it.
is, yeah, event page. Okay, hold on. Just gonna take a moment to invite people into this. And if there's anybody still in chat, is there anyone still in chat?
Mm.
Where are you?
Chat tends to die at around this time.
I know. Makes me sad.
It's because a lot of our people are from the UK and they're all going to sleep, so.
Yeah, they're not night owls like us.
I literally am only awake at night, so.
Well, at least a lot of the staff is on, so we can just invite them.
Yeah.
And there we go. Okay, so let's go ahead and kick this thing off. Hi guys, it has been a while since we've done one of these for a number of reasons, mainly because we have been super busy in real life and on the forum doing stuff. We have done a lot of updating and because of the time of night and how sudden this was, it's going to be me, Jade, and Incubus, who is
Shane.
Shane.
Yeah.
So, give me just a second because we're still trying to get some other people in here. Let's see.
No problem.
All right. So, some things that we're going to be talking about today, of course, is one of our new staff members, which is Incubus. He could make it on tonight. And a lot of the updates that we've done in the past month or so. So, Incubus, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself and let them know where you are and what you're doing.
Okay. I'm Incubus, aka Shane, aka Alistair. I'm a mod in West Idalos, more specifically Nahar at the moment. Nahair, whatever. I say Nahair because it's more easy to pun. But anyway, I also have been doing a lot of magic because I really like it, and so I'm mostly the one who did rupturing, although I collaborated with Colin a lot on that. So yeah, that was great, and it came out like today, so I'm really excited about that still. Uh, so yeah, Nahar, magic, hopefully a lot more stuff. I've been trying to develop creatures skills, familiars, stuff like that. You know, just trying to add some more depth, especially when it comes to magic. But yeah, that's me.
Woot, woot, woot. We're supposed to
Yeah.
have Plague here tonight to talk to us about the new magic system. Unfortunately, he couldn't make it because not only was he having some technical difficulties, but he also had something come up that needed to pull his attention away. So we're going to give a little bit of summary of what the new magic system is. I know before we started to go into this update, we had actually lost a lot of members to the magic system that we had previously, and Incubus can attest to this.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I guess it was very complicated in the way that it was set up and the way that you had to level and lots of oh my.
Oh, he's here. Did it work?
All right.
Did he make it on the chat?
All right.
This
So
is gonna make it night.
here's the situation. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Oh, we're broadcasting, by the way.
All right. Excellent. All right. So the situation is I have to go and pick up my buddy on the way far north side of town. So I just downloaded Google app, whatever the hell it is, and like stopped in a Wi-Fi zone so I could get it downloaded. Now I'm just gonna like tank all of my data, and I'm gonna make this work.
Can your
Okay.
data last an hour? Because I don't want to hike up your bill if that's the case.
Well, optimistically, I should be back before the hour, and then I'll be on a regular Wi-Fi signal again.
All
Okay.
right.
So are you gonna just stay in the chat or stay in the broadcast and talk, or are you just?
Yes, I'll
Okay.
stay in the broadcast and talk. I could theoretically turn on my camera, but you'd be looking on the inside of a car into the dark.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, we had just gone ahead and introduced ourselves, so why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself to the viewers?
Very well. I am Plague. I don't know if there's more that comes to it. Do we get taglines? Do I have a tagline?
I mean, what do you do
Did
on the
anybody
side?
assign me a tagline? Oh. Oh, I crap on the spot. I do nothing. I take credit for everyone else's work. No, really, I do a lot of developing behind the scenes. I'm working on Famula. I'm working on the Wisps. I worked on the Magic revamp. Shane's been helping me a lot with that. Jade helped me through a huge revamping the Magic. I do a bunch of different god marks. I did Azir, working on Vree and Syroa. I'm doing a lot of stuff, guys. I'm doing.
Yeah, you are. You're doing a
Yes,
lot
you
of
are.
stuff.
That's true. It seems like whenever I bring something up, Plague knows at least something about it.
I'm working on an immortal. I got guys. I'm gonna explode. Anyways.
Oh yeah. So
Nah,
but
it's
yeah,
cool,
so
but it's
that's
all gonna be awesome. I'm gonna get it all rolled out.
heck yeah, man. This is that I don't think people actually understand like how work the staff actually does, because we'll be in chat and people will be like, hey, can you do this for me, can you do that for me, and we're like, okay, but it's going to take us a little time because we got some stuff to get through. And they're like, some people are like, okay, but it won't take that much time, right? And they don't realize that we're working on god marks and cities and approving stuff and magic and all this stuff, and it's just like, oh my god, it can be a mountain sometimes, seriously.
Yeah.
Oh, go ahead.
I think as someone who like only recently became staff, and is like learning about how we operate, I think staff operates a lot more efficiently than I thought it did when I wasn't a staff member, which is good. Like, we actually do get through things pretty fast once we set our minds to it, so I'm happy about that.
Means we need to work on our public image a bit.
I think that we do need to have a little bit more discourse. That's something a lot of people have talked about, But, I mean, we can work on that. I think it's getting better. So.
Just do more of these impromptu Chatham things.
That would help, actually, quite a bit.
That would.
Cool.
So,
I'm all for helping.
But that's one of the things that I actually wanted to get to today was the magic, because it's such a big deal. One of the things that I was actually talking about before you got on the call, Plague, Colin, was the fact that the magic system needed such a big update, because it was kind of complicated and I wouldn't say outdated, but it wasn't well received by the community.
I'd say the big problem there was it was restrictive. You had to apply to the help desk to get permission to start with magic. You needed to get permission to start with a certain conduit. You needed to have attunement in order to even get into magic, and you needed a magic NPC and to belong to a magic group. There were so many restrictions that it sort of clamped down on the ability of players to be really creative on where they found magic or how that fits into their story. And I got a little drawn with saying no to so many people when there were some really great ideas out there. So I lobbied for revamping the magic system for a while, and eventually they were like, yeah, you go do that, little buddy. And I did eventually.
I think the problem was they really wanted your character to be one thing. They wanted your character to be what they envisioned a mage to be. That's how it felt like for me and a lot of people, because when I first joined here, I came with a lot of people. A lot of us were interested in magic, because for some reason us magic nerds stick together. And a lot of us just like, we pretty much pointed out all the same problems. It was like, you have to fall into this very specific category if you want to actually be able to utilize magic on ST. And like for me, for example, I had to literally, my entire background had to be based around magic. Like, if you look at Alistair's background, it's just like painful. Like, okay, fine, I'll put this in, 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 all so that I can get necromancy. And it's just like it consumed my character. So I was just like really unhappy with that, and the conduits and everything. It was too much. So yeah.
Right.
Yeah, and this isn't to bash the system that we had in place,
Absolutely.
because the person that did create it was Mythic, and he is no longer with us because he had something come up in his life that he needed to focus his attention on. But we went ahead as a group and we decided to make these changes because of how restricted it was, and because of how much time it took from the staff to go through the approval process of the stuff. So it just made more sense just to make it more open and less restrictive and
Right.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say that his system was bad or that his magic was bad or anything like that. He put a lot of really good work into things, and I definitely appreciate it. It just
Yeah.
ended up being, in practice, more restrictive and a little bit more problematic than I think anybody could have actually known without actually putting it into practice.
Yeah.
Right.
I agree.
Now that we have gone ahead with this update, it is so exciting because people can actually have the chance to be creative with their magic. I mean, it's so restrictless, but it's kind of weird because you're like, can I do this? Can I do that? And it's like, yeah, go for it. And they're like, wait, what?
Yeah. That was a surprise to a lot of people. They kept asking me when Rupturing came out, okay, so how am I going to get to learn Rupturing? Do you have to, like, approve an NPC for me or something? And I'm just like, no, you can just do it yourself, self-moderate, because that's, what everyone said, so.
You got to go through the initiation. You got to convince somebody to initiate you because,
Yeah.
since mages have a certain amount of people that they can initiate. The only thing that I would say is absolutely go for it, put it in your backstory, do whatever, but if you are, give it a long thought. Why does your character deserve this magic? What did your character do to stand out to the teacher to make them decide, all right, I've only got 5 or so people that I can ever initiate into this magic. What makes your character better than anybody else in Idalos who could have gotten this tutelage, this spark, this gift? Just keep that in mind when you're making your character, and that should all be okay. The one thing that I wanted to avoid was, there was a mage that was wandering through my town, and I made him laugh and so he was like, hey, guess what? Now you're a wizard. Deal with it. We're all about making stories, and we're fine with keeping things relatively without restriction, but the less restriction we have, the more trust we put into the players to build a story that makes sense with the lore that has been presented.
Yeah.
Right. So let's take a moment to actually talk about the concept of the spark. So go ahead and discuss that a little bit. Like, where did the concept come from? What is basically the synopsis of the spark?
Sure, no problem. So, when in the beginning there was Idalos, and then there were then there were the originals, and then the originals exploded, and then there were the immortals. I guess the immortals were around during the time of the originals, but for the sake of things, the originals exploded, and their shards
For the sake of things.
got all just thrown around the world. It's all crazy. Now, the exact origin of magic, what actually caused the first person to be able to graft a spark onto their soul is actually unknown. I intend to explore that later on down the line over what initiated the very first mages and how melding a spark, actually the idea that someone takes a bit, this tiny spark of the original, and meld it to their own soul. Who did that first? Why did they do that first? That is still in mystery, and it will be brought out in roleplay. But the spark essentially is, you can probably imagine it a little bit like an egg. It is
An
tiny.
egg?
Yeah, it's a tiny still living piece of the original, and it grows. as you gain magic, as you gain power, it grows inside of you, and that's what the mutations are. Your body slowly melding with this spark, and that's why there is only one there is only one revelation. Revelation can also be called an awakening. When one of these sparks, you take it to its actual conclusion, and it awakens, completely melding with you and makes you something that is neither God nor human. You're like the weird inverse of a mortal born.
Which is so freaking cool.
If it's an egg, can I call the revelation the hatching?
Oh my god, you can. I'm not going to stop you. I'm not going to stop you, but I will scowl at you.
I'm doing it.
Oh
I'm scowling right now.
Basically.
Sure.
I have a question then that some people might ask. Does certain like magic, because it all comes from, you know, basically the remnants of the originals, do certain sparks and magics manifest from the remains of certain originals?
You know, I actually have a chart that I did not include with the write-up, where I sat down with all the disciplines and given all of the domains of the current immortals, I actually figured out where the magic came from, which original it was. I've got that chart somewhere. I can show you guys. It's there. But I think what we decided was that the originals were not limited in terms of domain and scope. Each one of them had control over whatever it was that they wanted to, and sort of agreed amongst themselves to divide up caretaking of these domains, of these manifestations, of these phenomena to their children, and divided it out that way. Because, I mean, if you really take a look at the list of immortals, the only one that makes the most sense is Anox. If you look at all of the immortals underneath Anox, you can be like, okay, I can definitely see how this dude was probably the biggest asshole of all. Take a look at the immortals that he's got, all about destruction and chaos and ruling over people and shit like that. But you look at the other immortals, and all of their domains are straight out of nowhere. There's not a lot of things that line up to an individual cause. So I think that it makes more sense that the originals had control over any and all of the different domains. However, if people do want to know where I placed each of the magics, I would be happy to release that chart. It's still in, like, the second draft somewhere.
Yeah.
So, let's go ahead and talk about the newest magic that we've updated into the page, rupturing. So what is the idea behind that, and like what are some uses for it?
Okay. Just so you know, guys, I need to turn off cam for a little bit because someone else is in the room. But I'm sorry. I'll just keep going anyway.
Yeah, that's fine. Go for it. I'll be the beautiful woman on camera.
All right. Cool. So.
I'm kidding.
So for rupturing, well, I had been asking Colin about this, just like nudging him over and over again over like a while actually. I don't know if you remember that, Colin, but I was like, can I get like a teleportation magic, because I really want teleportation magic. I just like mentioned it like every single day, and then finally I just
remember this.
Yeah, he finally gave it to me. Although I will say, rupturing is like most of it is Colin's concepts that I just built upon because I liked them, and like we collaborated really well on it. So rupturing is
James, guys, just for future reference, anyone who joins the staff, Shane is really, really good to work with. Just letting y'all know.
We need a better system.
Oh my god, dog.
Dog?
Oh yeah, that's behind me is Zenith. And
Yeah.
currently the dog is going crazy.
She's got your sock.
All right.
That's Zenith, right? The dog is Zenith.
Yeah, the dog is
That's
Zenith.
odd.
Yeah. The dog is Zenith.
But not really.
Yeah. So anyway, oh my god, your dog is really cute. Okay, I'm gonna be distracted this entire time because I like dogs so much, and I'm just gonna be like, oh my god, dog! Oh, it jumped down the bed! Oh! Okay, so anyway, let's move on.
I like the dog.
So rupturing. With rupturing, I tried to make it a magic, but I also wanted to make it very mathematic and like scientific in a way, because I think that a lot of what certain mages. This is something I'm developing a bit. I want a lot of mages to like try and coincide magic with science, because a lot of mages have the goal. This is mostly in the Coven, but it exists elsewhere too, of surpassing the immortals or challenging them. And in order to do that, they're basically going to use everything at their disposal. So the creation of Rupturing was done by. It began with astronomy. It began with the study of distance, space, stuff like that. And they managed to combine magic with these studies. And so they made things like compression, which allows them to traverse space and distance in a very like compact form. So they can travel miles with what seems to them like feet, because their body is being augmented by this magic. So yeah. Basically, Rupturing is teleportation. I try to make it more complicated, but you know, most people will just say, okay, this is teleportation, this is transportation magic, and so the goal of it is really just like, I know a lot of people will like it because you know you can kind of reduce travel times and stuff like that, but the goal of it is just it's anything that transportation can do. So like if you want to be a combat mage, you can use the blinking portion of it to basically just like hop around the battlefield, and you know if you're like the sort of assassin-y type, that'll be really useful for you. If you wanna
Splintering, also splintering.
Splintering,
Yeah.
oh yeah, splintering is that's one of the abilities you get at Master. You can like create basically like a rift within like so say someone's wearing armor. You can pretty much create a rift. It looks like cracks on their armor, and that armor is just literally the space between the outside of that armor and their flesh disappears. So it's like they're not wearing armor at all, because you're completely voiding it with the distance compression. So you can pretty much just like stab someone directly through their armor. So it's really good for people who are like, you know, mobile kind of assassin types if they want to use that in combat. And then, you know, also obviously it can be used for like so many things. Because if you wanna be like a merchant, just imagine creating like a giant portal and just having your ship go from that portal in like Nahar to like Nishaki or something. I think that would be really useful for transportation. Of course, that's at really, really, really later levels, of course. But you know, and that usually involves a sundial. But anyway, so yeah, it's diverse.
Yeah, because I know there's been a lot of people who, you know, we only released it, what, yesterday, and there's already a bunch of people who are looking into having it as a magic.
Yeah, because, I mean, it's understandable. Transportation in this kind of RP is really useful. But one thing I would like to specify is I tried to make it really difficult to actually get the transportation down. So you can do all these cool things. You know, you can teleport across vast distances, but you can't just do it willy-nilly. You have to have, there's a lot of complications that go behind it. First of all, the portals have to be very stable. Second of all, if you want to go through the large compression fields, that requires a sundial, because the sundial uses a conduit to tune the magic so it doesn't rip you apart when you try to jump across such a vast distance. And there's a lot of mathematics, there's a lot of preparation, there's knowledge of the area you want to go to. So you have to have been there before, you have to have studied it. And you also have to get down the coordinates, everything. It's a very mathematic magic, so, I mean, that might turn some people off, but it does make it fair, because, you know, it wouldn't be fair if you could just be like, well, I'm a master rupturer, so now I can go from Renmir to Nahar in 2 seconds and go back again 2 seconds later.
Interjection. As someone who is terrible at math, it's role-play math, right? We don't actually...
Yeah, it's role-play math. I put a note about that.
Thanks.
Staff will not bug you about it, and we won't be like, oh my god, you have to actually put down the exact numbers. You have to write your character doing deep, intensive calculations every time you want to go anywhere. No. It's literally just like, you can just... I wrote a little thing that there's like a book out there written by our rupturer called Sidious Rayloth, and he put down all the coordinates, and like you can pretty much just be like, okay, well, this is the coordinate he put down. It's 500 kilometers from Andaris to Rarn. So from this city center and blah blah blah, I can just travel 500.61 kilometers done. And you can just write that yourself. No one really cares. So it's not really like super nerdy math stuff. It's just like your character does have to have some understanding of that.
It's funny because once you guys mentioned math, I got a bunch of messages and everybody's like, ew, math. We don't want to do math.
No,
I'm
no.
with them. I'm with them. I'm with everybody. Everybody saying they don't like math? Yeah.
I hate math.
Not people.
I hate math. Don't worry, don't worry.
Oh my goodness. I think everybody hates math at some point in their lives, at least.
Yeah. But yeah, so don't worry. No complex math equations. It's just literally like your character researching distance and stuff like that.
Incubus
not-
did an excellent job on taking a lot of my bare bone mismatched concepts and turning them into a what I think is a very compelling magic. And it's sort of, in a way, a model for how, because I've talked to Incubus pretty extensively about how I imagine magic going forward, and so there have been magic systems on other sites in which, when you're like a novice mage, you're just a derpy klutz mage. Like, you can't, you're like, I can kind of do magic, guys, but it's not fun to write about. Your magic's never useful. It's not interesting until it gets higher in level in your ability. And I wanted to eschew that in this system where there is something interesting that you can do. There are techniques and story elements that you can bring in at every single level of development. So there won't be any part of training through magic and their mastery that won't be fascinating.
Yeah. That was why it's so long. Like, it's 5,000 words long, and I know some people are gonna be like, oh my god, I have to read so much. By the way, my webcam's back on. Yeah, so I put a lot in it so that at every level you can do a lot. And even if you feel like you can't do anything at a certain level, you can at least study upon it, research it, start building your sundial. And then once you get to the point where you have your sundial, which is a pretty kind of big part of it, you can start like doing really cool stuff with it, customizing it. If you have ensorceling, you can add like cool conduit effects to it, enchant it with Dustforge. I don't know, all sorts of magic can help like augment the
Synthesis.
Yeah. Synthesis would also be really cool with the sundial. I had some really cool ideas for that, but I didn't put them in because I want players to just like kind of make up their own ideas, and you know, we'll see how that.
For the player's edification, synthesis is something that we haven't come out with magic yet because the magics aren't all done. Once they're done, the next project is synthesis. Mages can only get 4 magics to really work with. Synthesis is the combination of 2 or more disciplines that allow you to do something that neither of the disciplines could do individually. And we're working on some really cool combinations with that.
Yeah. I think with rupturing that'll be pretty cool. Just imagine like the elemental portals exploding in people's faces.
Absolutely.
That'd be really funny to see.
Yeah.
So, we have a question from one of the members in Nolly. I really hope I'm saying that right. She just wants a little bit of a backstory on another magic, and I think a lot of people would be interested in hearing about this. Schism. So in the domain page, it says Schism is a very rare discipline, and a lot of people have been asking why and why it's so rare. And she wants just a little bit of backstory on that and how it was thought.
Sure. Absolutely. So, the way that magic works is that there is a spark inside of you that is not sentient, but is trying to kind of wake up, and it grows stronger as you grow more adept at your usage of magic. Schism turns all of that on its head. From its very beginning, the Schism spark is not about grafting an egg, if you will, to your soul. It's about gathering all of those. It's about gathering all of those sparks together, congealing them, and giving it consciousness, giving it sentience, awakening it early, but not in the sense where it would awaken and then you fuse with it and you become a non-human, non-god thing. It has you forge a relationship with the sparks in your body as you change. and allows it to learn as well. So in the end, it's two consciousnesses, two life forms gestalting together after knowing each other for a very long time. And it's extremely rare because A, it involves uniting the sparks within you, and B, it goes against all the other magics, which is you are the mage, you are the most powerful being that is, you control all of this magic, and it is what it is. Spark relinquishes some of that control to the actual entity that is giving you your power. And that's why it's extremely rare, and that's why it's fairly limited, because some mages, I mean a lot of mages, don't really consider giving the actual magic inside you a voice to be a good thing. Mages as a concept are kind of arrogant. At least they are, in my opinion. They can be scientists, but in the end, what a mage seeks to do is to step outside of their own abilities, their human frailties, and wield powers that should ordinarily be in the hands of gods. And and so most mages wouldn't want to give that power its own voice, because in a way it would be like creating your own little personal god that you have to be friends with, or else you don't have any power anymore. So schism's rare not only because not many people have it, but because so few people would want to do that.
I can already see Casimir getting Schism and then creating a little mini god out of his spark and calling it Paula, since that's like a huge part of his concept. But anyway, sorry.
Yes, no, I mean it's it'll be the last magic that is released. I'll be working on it. I'll be working on it personally and secretively. And if people are very interested in going on a quest to kind of uncover that magic for themselves, I will moderate it personally, and I will have a great deal of fun in doing so.
And I hope that answers your question, Anali.
I have another question to raise for you, which I think a few people have asked. What does that bond with the spark actually do for you? Like, how does it help you?
Well, the understanding is that it'll help your mutations. It'll help your eventual it'll help your eventual revelation. It creates another sentience, a being that is just as versed in magic as you, that is extremely close to you. It can pull on itself, on the spark itself. Ordinarily, the spark is like it's something you graft onto your soul, and then you just use the ether around you to present it. But the spark itself is largely just sort of an addendum as it slowly fuses into your soul. But it has a great deal of power. Keep in mind, it is a shard of an immortal, and a spark that can actually draw on that on its own power, on its own nexus of ability, will make you a stronger mage.
Yeah.
If you build a strong relationship with your spark, with the schism, then you will be a superior mage. That's why schism can be extremely powerful. But on the other hand, sparks gain sentience. They are their own characters. You will be expected to develop them. And if they don't like what your mage is doing, they can also shut down your ability to manipulate the ether around you. So you have to be in a relationship. In the guide, marks are considered to be a sort of a symbiosis, and sparks are considered to be parasitic, because it's true. The spark is trying to become something else, and as it fuses into your spirit and changes it, you just happen to get some abilities. It's not necessarily helping you. It's actually putting you in a lot of danger to use magic. But a schism is a true symbiosis, because now you have to get along.
Let me pause right there, because I have a question as well.
Sure.
Well, about the spark and it growing inside you, and the mutations and everything like that. I think it would also be good to. Sorry, that's my dog. I think it's also good to go into the discussion that players can kind of have like a rewind button when it comes to magic. So if they don't like their mutations or don't like what's happening to their character, they are able to seek out the help from an immortal to kind of go back. So why don't we talk a little bit about that too?
Oh yeah. So this is a role-playing site, and all of you are giving us your time and your brilliance and your ideas to help us, help you. We all get to tell epic stories. And the last thing that I want to do is to put a player in a situation where they thought that they wanted something, and in the end, it turns out that it's not something that they want. I think that creates a very interesting struggle within a player character, and I think that the option should be there to explore that struggle. If you don't want a revelation, if you want to back and grab your humanity, if you want to eschew the spark, if you want to push it all out of you, then there should be an option to do so. I didn't write down any like surefire ways to do it. Seeking out immortals, first of all, is one of them, because the immortals understand the power of domain better than any other. But there might even feasibly be other ideas. And as prophets, as storytellers, we're open to going on that journey with you, if that's what you want. If you're like, I loved being a mage, but now I'm afraid that's not really part of my content anymore, and I don't like what I am becoming, and my character is struggling against the fact that they are transforming and they're not themselves anymore, and they want to go back. I say, awesome, excellent. That sounds like a really cool story. Let's do it. What does that look like? How do you imagine that? And
Right.
we help you tell that story.
Yeah.
Woo. Yeah. All right. Well, cool. Glad that we got to discuss that a little bit. So
Yeah.
one of the things that I'm really looking forward to, and you guys can also give a little bit of some of the things that you're excited about, but and I'm probably pretty cliche by saying this, but I absolutely love elemental magic, and I am so stoked about Defiance. Like, I cannot wait to see that. It's so awesome, man. I can't wait. Yeah. But
Well, Jade, you're gonna be helping me develop that.
hell yeah, man. Oh my goodness, I cannot wait. But
And I'm gonna be stealing gravitation from you. Thank you very much.
No, I'm taking Sovereign. Get away from me.
Oh my God.
I've given it thought.
Oh,
No.
for
I've
those
got
who
too many. We'll talk about it. We'll talk about it, man.
For those who don't know, gravitation has been changed to Sovereign. So Sovereign is gravitation magic.
I'd be happy to explain why I made the change.
Yeah, go for it.
It falls in line with what the magic now is. So gravitation was basically telekinetic power. The affecting the forces of gravity up and down, all around, what have you. Sovereign uses some of the same principles of telekinesis, but Sovereign is called Sovereign because it is the will made manifest. So it's targeted telekinesis. So you walk into it. Just an example. You walk into a room with a piano, and you point at it and you say play, and the piano starts playing of its own accord with your skill level on its telekinetic impulse while you have a conversation with someone else. You tell someone to kneel, and telekinetic force will grip them and buckle them so that they must kneel before you. It is the will made manifest. It's a more directed form of telekinesis where you order, and force tries to make the world around you obey.
I like that name change. And that
that's cool.
explains it very well.
That's cool. Butthurt that I can't have it, but it's cool.
Don't worry, Shane. We'll talk. We'll talk about it. It's cool.
Okay.
So, in the chat, oh man, I keep wanting to say Melisandre from Game of Thrones.
I know.
So she's like, I'm gonna need this. I think a lot of people are gonna need this. All right. So Anali is asking 2 questions. Do the pack spirits vary in type or strength based on locale? And her second magic is intentions of the mage.
Second magic is what intentions of the mage? What?
Well, her question is, do the pack spirits, the spirits summoned by the pack magic, do they vary in type and strength based on where the mage is at in the world, and based on what the mage has conjured them for?
Oh, yes, 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 yes. Today I worked with Thunder and I believe it's not Chimera anymore. It's Nymph, I think. Right? Am I right? I can't keep up with name changes sometimes. And Anomaly on a spirit primer that we'll be releasing before Pact comes out that explains what spirits are in the world of Idalos, their hierarchy and what there is, and I guess the little bit that I can give you right now is that there are essentially like 3 different classes of spirits, and the ones you'll be dealing with mostly are spirits of concept, so spirit of agony, like a snow spirit, like in Azir, the snow spirit that has a pact with Azir to serve the marked by allowing it to take the form of a steed when it is bound in ice and snow. These spirits, depending on their age, depending on their power, will make things either easy or difficult for the pact. There'll be 2 ways to go about being a pact mage, both of which that are enforced by the Ether. Is you can either force a pact, enslave a spirit to do your will, to summon it and shackle it, which is definitely definitely a way to go about it, but kind of terrible. But you can do it. And some spirits are problematic, and you may want to. But the other way to do it is to kind of give them an offering, an obeisance, criminage of sorts. Is you offer them something that they want, which is usually to endeavor or to spread their concept. A spirit of justice might want you to go out and bring justice to a thief or to a crime that's happened before it'd be willing to work with you. But once you give it an offering, it is willing to engage in a deal with you, a pact, if you will, to perform services. And there will be a lot of different ways that you can use spirits and pacts to achieve a great deal of possibility, from hexing people to making yourself stronger on the battlefield, to learning things, to even straight up spiritual combat, which is pretty fascinating stuff. So yes, depending on where you are, the spirits may or may not be strong, and they may or may not be, weak. Spirits aren't everywhere, but they are a lot of places.
And Anali says pack magic is the best magic.
Pack magic is going to be super interesting.
It is. I'm very excited to see the work done on that. So one thing that I want to kind of address, and I know that the both of you will be excited about this, let's talk about necromancy in Idalos. Because I know Shane, you kind of have, and I don't want to explain too much because I don't know if this is going to happen or not, but we are planning a Halloween event for Idalos, and I don't know if Shane wants to talk about it or if we need to keep it or something, but that's something that he's working on too. But why don't we go ahead and talk a little bit about necromancy?
Okay, can I start? Okay, so,
yeah, go ahead.
Alright, the Coven of Ellison, first of all, I'm revamping it completely. I'm going to rewrite it. I'm going to change a lot about it. I'm going to add ranks to it that are like comprehensive. I'm going to have branches of the Coven. I'm going to specify what cities it operates in. And I'll also add the leaders of that city. It'll mostly be liches. There might be some that aren't liches. I don't know about that. So there's going to be like a very specific, detailed hierarchy. And there's also going to be a sort of obvious set of goals as well as the implication that there's more to it. The more to it part is what brings in the plot line. I'm not sure when it will happen because I know that there's an event happening in Valar, so I don't want to like clog it up with all these events going on. So we'll have to discuss that. But so basically, Ellison firmly believes that magic can surpass the immortals, that the immortals are jealous of mortals who endanger them, that magic is a blight to the immortals not because of their, self-justified reasonings like, that it's non-spiritual or that you're deforming yourself. They spread this intolerance because they're afraid of it. That's what she believes, and that's what the Coven believes. Necromancy, a lot of it is, it's ostracized. You're made into this cult member. You're despised by society in every single way. So a lot of necromancers come to hate society and they come to hate immortals. They want to destroy the system, and that's what the Coven of Ellison is going to be about. So that's like the more beliefs side of necromancy. I don't know what Colin is doing with the actual magic itself. So because I said I won't touch it because I'm too biased because Alistair's a necromancer. So. So Colin, you want to elaborate? Colin!
Did he drop out? Is he
He might have. He did this before. When we were all in a Skype call, he was talking and then gone.
His connection, well, he is driving, so his connection.
Yeah, he is driving. I guess until then, I can just keep talking.
No.
I don't wanna like.
Let's see.
Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
Okay, I don't want to spoil too much for the Ellison plot, but I think it probably will happen. I just don't know when. I mean, I'm gonna try my best. He dropped, by the way. I'm gonna try my best to make it happen. I'm not sure when exactly, but I'm gonna have it try. It's gonna affect mages, and the one thing about the Coven that I'm doing to it is I'm making it so it's not just necromancy. Because if it's just a cult of necromancers, it's like, there's only so much you can do with it. So it's going to be dark magic and ambitious mages in general. So, for example, Colin just mentioned how pact mages can force spirits to abide by them. You'll find pact mages like that in the Coven. You're not going to find the ones that, are like all buddy-buddy with them and do them favors. You're going to find the ones that subject them to, imprisonment, control, manipulation. And, like, for example, for Defiance, you're not going to find elemental mages who try to use it to, like, build or, like, change the tides to prevent flooding or whatever the heck beneficial Defiance mages might be able to do. You're going to find ones that use it to raise cities to the ground. So it's all about the dark side of magic, whereas the Seekers are more like the balanced, controlled side. So that's what I'm doing with the Coven.
Mel did have a question. She said, so will the Coven look for people that are marked by the gods?
The Coven despises immortals, but they want to utilize them, and also Ellison loves humiliating the immortals. That is like her cream of the crop. If she could spend her entire life humiliating the immortals, no. Oh God.
Oh God, they're gonna see me.
Oh no, they might see my fiance. Okay, I'm sorry.
What?
If she could spend her entire life humiliating the immortals, she would totally do it. So if she will gladly take someone with a mark, and then she will try to just completely destroy their connection with their immortal. Like Damien Nock, who is one of the most prominent liches in Rinmere. He's also Alistair's instructor. He used to be a follower of Miden. He was a very prestigious bishop in Yarlan who basically, like, Yarlan's a mercenary city. A lot of them, eventually, when they get old and whatnot, they start to feel bad, basically because they sold their soul for money, pretty much. Well, that's what I imagined. So he taught forgiveness and rebirth and, like, just, accepting what you've done and, like, finding a new future. Ellison contacted him and just completely dismantled everything he believed in, destroyed his connection with Miden, and made him into a lich. That's just like, that is her favorite thing to do in this world, and so yes, she will gladly accept you, but she will destroy everything you believe in. And she'll do it corrosively, intelligently.
So Anali had a question. She said, she said, does the coven despise immortals that don't dislike magic? So the immortals that are in favor of magic, will they like them better?
No, I think honestly, they don't like any immortals at all. I think they want to kill all of them. Not all of them, but like Ellison does. And Ellison, I mean, it's the Coven of Ellison. So I don't know. I mean, she had like a love-hate relationship with Sintra for a long time, but I think that's done with. And at this point, she just wants to surpass and destroy them. But the Coven is not completely loyal to Ellison, and there are people who diverge in opinions. So, like, for example, Damien eventually kind of started to regret the decisions he made for power, and he kind of started to fall back into hoping that Ymeden could forgive him for all that he did, and so on and so forth. And so there are some who might, in the Coven, support the Immortals, and there are some who are trying to overthrow Ellison. So there's that dynamic as well.
But they keep that support for the gods or the Immortals real close to the vest, I think.
What was that?
They'd want to keep the support for the Immortals real close to the vest, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. Definitely.
So Mel says, I plan to have, I'm going to totally fuck this name up, I swear. Melisande? Maybe? I don't know. But anyway, she says, I plan
Melisande.
to be marked by Velduras. What would the Coven want someone like her who could potentially track more people down for their cause? If that happens, would she lose her mark? Close enough. Yeah, thanks.
Oh, sorry.
I just wanted to reach in for so Velduras, that's the one where you get a wolf, right?
Yeah.
Okay. One would think that since the wolf is technically Karam's own, that wolf would almost certainly be reporting back to her. So you might want to be careful about that.
Yeah, I would imagine the Immortals hate the Coven. I honestly think that maybe a lot of the hatred towards magic by the Immortals probably is due to Coven mages. Like, Thunder and I talked about why Ashan hates magic so much, and a lot of it has to do with the Pact mages that like control the spirits forcefully and whatnot, because that's very against his idea of both freedom and spirituality. So I would think that the Coven is just like, if an immortal finds out that you're a member of the Coven, that's not going to go over well usually. Maybe they'll try to bring you onto their side, but I think that if Karam discovered that you're consorting with the Coven and using her ability to your favor, that would probably be very, very negative.
Yeah.
But I would like to say also that there are benefits to being in the Coven. It's not just going to make it so like you can't get a mark, all these problems. The Coven is a good opportunity to advance as a mage. They're very, if you're talented, they harbor your magic very well. There's instructors, there's assistants, there's liches to help you out. They try to increase their base of power. So like you will grow fast as a mage under the Coven. It's just that you might have to deal with the consequences of the world despising you if they discover the truth of your affiliation.
Right. Well, I know that, and this is something that we kind of come across if we're talking about when it comes to immortals and magic. Something that we kind of came across dealing with a player recently is the Mortalborns, and the way that magic affects the Mortalborns, because if a lot of you haven't actually seen the guidelines for playing a Mortalborn, they are a playable race. And the thing that's interesting about them is that they can start with abilities in their own domains. And since magic is interesting concept that a character came up with was basically to use what they are as a Mortalborn to basically lure other mages to them so that they could flay them. And it's interesting because mages are very dangerous for Mortalborns. Mages actually track down Mortalborns because of the power that the Mortalborn has. It allows the mage to become more powerful once they flay the Mortalborn. And so I just wanted to mention that because I thought it was a really trippy idea that this person would actually use what the character is to lure other mages and slay them for more power. So it's just the dynamics of how this magic works in the world. It's just insane. So, but yeah, I wanted to go ahead and mention that.
On that point, if you are a Mortalborn, the Coven will gladly invite you in, but you might die.
Mini immortals are us.
Yeah, that's what the Coven tries to be, mini immortals.
But so that's the little gist of magic. We are getting down into our last few minutes of the hour of live chat. So some things that I just wanted to go ahead and mention to players. We not only updated the magic system, we updated the grading system and the review system. A lot of you have already seen that, but a lot of you who are just, you know, coming back from a long break or something, and you're just listening to this, that is what we've done. So there's been a lot of updates on information done to the site, and we did that because of the player feedback that we got. We realized that there was a lot of changes that needed to be done, and we realized that not too many players were happy with how much change we were doing. But I can assure you all that we are done with our major changes. What we're doing now is we are just adding to the system that we have. We're just adding to the magics that we need to do, adding lore to the game, mortals, you know, what's going on, adding events, you know, it's just adding now. It's no changing anymore. So I'm sure that will please a lot of people.
Yeah, definitely. I had this conversation with Plague. If I have to make too many more changes to the magic that I have with Alistair, I don't know if I can play him anymore. And a lot of mages felt that same way. So we made sure to be really thorough. That's why Colin and I discussed rupturing for countless hours before, you know, we were actually like, okay, you know what, this is actually ready. We reviewed it tons and tons of times with each other. So we're going to make sure everything's great and wonderful and comprehensive. And if you do feel like something's missing, it's probably because we want you to be able to experiment with that yourself in RP. So, yeah.
Right, right. So with that, we are going to say goodbye to you all. Live chat just back.
Colin.
Yeah.
What? Yeah. Wait, sorry.
Live chat's over, Beth. Live chat's over. All right, but anyway, so we will see you guys next time, and we promise that it won't take another 2 months to update this.
Yeah. We'll definitely see you. And oh, sorry.
No. Continue first. I'll go after.
Okay, I'm happy to be doing this because, you know, I'm just a little newbie. I feel glad to be on here and to talk to you guys. And I also feel glad to hear my echo. Anyway, so Colin, what you want to talk about?
The last thing that I wanted to say is that if we have not answered any of your questions, if you still have some questions about some of the other magics that we haven't mentioned, what kind of shape they'll take, I have a general idea for how all of the magic is going to pretty much look like. I'd be happy to talk with you about it and talk with you about anything that you would like to see in the system moving forward. Feel free to shoot me a message or catch me in chat those few times that I'm there, or the Q&A thread, I guess, that as well.
All right. Well, thanks for listening to our live chat, guys. Have fun role-playing, and we will see you next time. Bye.
Bye-bye.